Alright, some farming stuff in Latin. 11:7. Therefore, just as I have said, we're now speaking with gerunds, so you can assume there's an est. Must be taught from boyhood, and in the rural operations, rustic operations of the farm, he must be hardened, or in gerundus can be for harden. Other cases it means to endure, but he should be hardened for these tasks. And with prior many experiments or tests of his knowledge and abilities, he should be looked at a future villicus, so the future bailiff or guy in charge of the farm. He should be inspected for his experiments, his testings of how to run the farm and also do the jobs as we saw yesterday. And here's an and for whether he's thoroughly learnt the discipline of the farm, but not only that, but whether even he's loyal to his master and he exhibits signs of goodwill, benevolence, without which doesn't help this great the utmost of the scientific knowledge of the farm. These things do not help the overseer at all unless he's loyal to the master and he has all this testing, etc., and he has knowledge. Potissimum est autem. So it's most preferable now in this magistrate, in this bailiff or overseer, to know and to estimate what is the duties and what type of labour there should be joined to each one. As we see, this has got a verb of thinking, so it's just a gerund without est. So the officium is neuter, that's why there's an a. Labour has the is because it's male or female. So anyway, nemnec, for neither is the most valentimus, most strongest, able to follow out what he is ordered if he doesn't know what he's doing, nor should the most experienced if he's infirm or weak in body. And so the qualities of each of these tasks must be consideranda est. So it's no longer an orata oblique, so there's an s there. Quippy, looks like since, aliqua, some operations or work, merely or only, is of strength, just as in moving forwards or moving onerous, burdenous sort of things and carrying, so you need to have a lot of strength if you're carrying things and porting them around. Aliqua correlatives, and other times even you need a society or a joining of strength and of skill and art, as in when you were fodiending and digging and arandiqui, ploughing, as with crops and pratas, which are fields or meadows, cutting. You can tell from secanding, it's a form of cutting, so you're cutting crops and maybe you're getting hay or something. Some things, non nullus, have less of strength and more of art must be applied. Just as when you're pruning and you're making insertions of the vine, that's grafting we call it. Plurumum, a lot of the times even the scientia, the knowledge, is strong in some of these people. As in the pasturean, this is like when you put a cow out to pasture or whatever, it's feeding of pecore, feeding of the herds or the flock animals, and of the same animals, doctoring of it, what we call vets and veterinarians. Of all these duties of the villicus, which I've already said prior, he ought to be a good estimator, is not able, unless he is experienced even, that he is able to correct in each single thing if something is factum peperum, if something is done wrong. So he needs to be able to correct in any of these situations where something's done wrong. So that's why he needs to be a good estimator, he can think. 4, neither satisfactorily, so for neither is it satisfactory to reprehend the sinner or the person who did the wrongdoing in the farm, if he's not able to teach him the way of doing it right. Freely then, I'm saying the same thing, I guess the same thing I've said before. A future villicus, the future overseer, must be taught, tam quam correlatives, just as much as a future potter or fabricator would be, or mechanic, whatever you want to interpret that as. Even Ferriarius Faber, someone who works with metal, etc. Et hord facili dixerim, and not easily am I able to say whether in such arts or ways of doing things, is it easier, expediora, which usually means easier or made easier, in the learning of these things, in as much as we have tanto and quanto correlatives, which take comparatives. There's a comparative with this tanto and a comparative with that quanto. As they're very ample. So to learning the skills you need on a farm, it's more ample. There's a lot more of it to learn than making a pot or something. However, rustification, as we saw before, this is doing things in the countryside, agriculture, probably the best word. It's a great and diffuse material. It's great, and there's a lot of spread out functions in it. And the parts, if we want to percensere them, if we want to count them all or think about them all, scarcely we are able to comprehend the number of things you have to learn. Quare, therefore, I'm not able to admire it satisfactorily. What, in my first beginning of my writings, this is book 11, it's in the first books, Ure rightly conquesta sum, I complained about. So the things which in the first books of my writings I complained about, of the rest of these arts, antistetes are repertos. So these are priests have found of things that are less necessary for life. So I guess making a pot isn't as important as making crops and having herds of cattle and sheep. Of our agriculture or to agriculture, either the disciples or students or preceptors or teachers are found. Okay. Nisi, unless you accept the magnitude of the matter, has made a reverence of discending and profiting, it's basically teaching, learning, and of professing. Latin library likes to leave there off this, which is almost an immeasurable or a large science. So the science of agriculture is so large that you have the magnitude of it, has made some reverence for the learning of it. Nevertheless, it's not for this reason that you ought to neglect this matter, because it's so hard to learn, from some foul desperation or a baseless desperation. Terp usually means something dirty or base or whatever. 11. Nemnek, for neither has oratory, the discipline of oratory, been deserted, because the perfect orator is never found, repertus est, nor philosophy, because no one of consummate wisdom, I guess, has been repertus found, but e contrario. But contrarily, a lot encourage themselves, even to know some parts. Discre means to learn, so to learn some parts of these things, philosophies, etc., and oratory. Okay, getting there towards the end. So although you're not able to perceive or grasp it universally, all of that thing, universally all of the art, etc., of oratory. And in fact, what is the probable reasoning of, what is the probable cause of you wanting to be quiet, of mutesking, because you're not able to be the perfect orator, or being compelled into secordia, which is usually slothfulness or something. The cord comes from your heart, I guess, because you are despondent of wisdom, or you're lacking wisdom. Okay, so daily dictionary, despondio. Normally it's the promise or to give, especially when you promise maybe for marriage, but with the predominant idea of removing, putting away. So giving up, yielding, resigning, especially in plaudus, to despair or lose courage. Okay, so it says despairing, where was it? Despairing of wisdom, giving up. You can't get your full potential of wisdom. So things that have cumque usually mean however much or something. So you possess however much of the great thing, so say diminutive. So however little you possess of a great thing, at least you were a participant, you were there, and that's not a minimal glory. For who then, you'll say, will teach the future villicum? who'll teach the future overseer if there's no professor of this, if there's no one greatly learned in it. Et ego intelligo. And I understand it's very difficult from one author, cuncta precepts, to follow all the precepts or instructions of rustification, of farming. So basically, I understand it's very difficult to learn everything you need to know about farming from one author, or as if from one author. But nevertheless, of the universal discipline, scarcely anyone consult them. You can't consult anyone who knows the universal matters of this discipline. But thus, Taman and thus, there are pluribus, there are many magistrates, you'll find many masters or teachers you'll find who have part of this knowledge, through which you are able to efficere, to create the perfect overseer, or whatever you want to call it, bailiff. Okay. For also, a narrator can be found, a plougher can be found, someone who's good, and an optimist digger. I think a great digger you can find, or a cutter of hay, not less an arborist, someone who cuts trees, or tree doctor, and a vinator, someone who looks after the grapevines, then even a veterinarius. I think that's got to do with shoeing horses, not a veterinarian, but you could probably Google it. And probus, an upright shepherd, who, to one who has some good desire of learning the science of this, he will not take away your ability. So you'll find someone who can teach you these things, it's basically saying.